to pay for the 2%.
So I don't know if it was Eisner, somebody did it not too long ago, and it might have been during last negotiations.
It may have, or it may not have been an official one like this either. It might have just been an unofficially, hey, here's what that would mean. But you've got $1 million plus in that COLA fund alone, I think, that
So-
get rolled into this.
All right, so nobody's missed out on a 2% COLA,
Correct, not yet.
and they're not done. Like, there's $1.3 million in the COLA fund, and I think you got 47,000 going out of there a year. I mean, it's,
Right.
so
So that's
when
gonna
I-
grow each year.
Let's hope.
No, I'm saying the people.
The number
coming
of
from-
people
The 47,000 coming
that
out of
get
it.
less than a
Right.
2% COLA, yeah.
Right.
So right now, luckily, we're 6 years in, so we're just starting to feel the effect of those who didn't go out with a 2% COLA. No, I take that back, I'm sorry. That was in 12, 11 and 12. So we've got a few years, which is why I think it's 47,000. But nonetheless, I get it. It feels like it's less, right? You're gonna go, oh, I got a guaranteed 1% COLA. And that's technically true, but there's so much money in that COLA fund, nobody's gonna be without that 2% COLA for decades, even if it earned not another nickel into the COLA fund.
And I've explained
Which
that
is
to folks.
mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
To the Foster and Fosters, I'm like, how in the hell then can you tell me it's gonna cost me more than what's in the COLA fund to just put the 2% COLA back when I'm telling you there's no way it can go broke in the next 10 or 15 years, assuming it doesn't earn a nickel of interest or there's never another transfer to the COLA fund, which it probably won't happen this year. Like, we get another, like, I want to say last year was like 13.5% or whatever, don't quote me on that, but it was high. Like, our investment earnings where the actuarial assumption is only 7.5, I should say only, it's 7.5, but we earned way higher than that. This year, we're 2 quarters in and we're already at 10 point something, or maybe even 13. I don't know, it's unprecedented at the end of the day. So there's not gonna be a COLA transfer, clearly, they've already done the actuarial report, which, shows the 9.1, by the way, like, back in the good old days, this was around 6 million, the pension contribution because of the raises and other reasons, mortality table, cancer presumption, PTSD presumptions, like, there's other things that have caused this to go up significantly to the, cracking the $9.1 million range. So, I don't know that the COLA, if it is a sticking point, it's psychological because nobody's gonna be without that COLA. Like, it's just not gonna happen. And I'm just waiting on the actuary, whether it's after the next budget, not budget transfer, excess investment earning transfer or whatever. There's gonna be money to do that at some point. To just make it where it's a 2% COLA and forget about it. We don't have to worry about the COLA fund. And there hadn't have to be the actuary looking at everybody's COLA every year and go, okay, this guy's only got 1.8, so I gotta cut him a check for $300 or whatever. So it takes some moving pieces out of it. I don't know if it's worth having,
I mean, I'll reach out
Drew
to
Ballard do a,
he's the one that did this
and
for
by the way,
us.
they don't consider this an impact statement. It drives me crazy because, back in the good old days, you call NIHARD, whatever number they gave you, that's it.
Mhm.
Like, this is just, oh no, that's like an estimate. I'm like, well, what? Like, I literally asked you, I based our budget on this, not, hey, give me something close. Like, should be an actuary analysis. And I don't know if you've heard all the fights between me and the pension board and all this, and it's getting straightened out now.
Yeah, and
Charges an extra $149,000 out of the blue. I'm like, wait, what? So they're adjusting all that. They were wrong.
we went to the board and got permission to
Yep,
pay for
I
this.
saw
So
that in the minutes.
I'm not above doing that again on the 2% if we need to, if it looks like that's got, and I'm sure Drew, because you have the COLA fund there, and because this is not some new wild concept, I would think he could get back to us quickly with that result.
So I guess, listen, I guess my thought on it is there's not an officer retired that's not getting a 2% COLA.
Well, not
in the
yet,
foreseeable future.
I think
we're talking
somebody's
we're talking 2 decades.
right. But if you're someone that's
At
here
best.
now that can't retire for 25
I
or
hear
20
you.
years, and then you're looking at 6
But you're
years
saying
after
it's 1%,
that.
I mean, it does say 1%, right? But then it does establish this COLA fund that has, you know, whatever it is, $1.3 million in it now. Back in the day, it was 880 something thousand. So it's growing exponentially, like every year when the investment return comes back, they get their money into the COLA fund as well. All right, listen, I get it, but what I'm hearing you say, short of wages and pension, like those are the ones your heels are dug in, maybe not on the actual numbers.
Right.
Well, the 20 years.
20-year is what it is, yeah, that's a fixed thing, but the wages and the marching orders we've got, everybody at this table can attest to this, from the now majority of the membership is to get that 20 an hour. And you know, there were years gone by where we talked about that here in this room, but the numbers weren't quite there yet. We started out with, you know, 10% of the membership was in the 25-year retirement. They grew to 25 and 50,
Yeah.
and
Right.
now it's
the newbies
over half.
overtake
Right.
the seniors,
Right.
then it matters, right? So anybody hired after 14, that's in the 25. Now they're starting to be the
They're
a louder voice anyway.
Exactly.
Sure.
And now some of these guys have 7 years on the job now too, so they're getting much more vocal about the things that are important to them, as opposed to maybe a first-year officer who's going to be, okay, he's still on
That's a
probation, he just wants to
long
get through his
way,
life and
When
go
you got
home.
7 in, now you're really thinking I could have 13 more or 18 more.
Right.
So
And I think if you go back to the earlier discussion and you know, your exchange with Ryan, as you recognize, there's a burnout factor that comes with this job. And some of these folks that are new hires, they start here going, yeah, I can do 25 years. My dad worked 25 years for IBM or whatever. But then they get 5, 7 years into this and they're like, how the hell do you keep up with this? And that run and call like that has a burnout factor. And for some of these guys, getting to that 20 years and being able to parachute out is really important. As opposed to some other cities where, yeah, you can work into your 50s, and I don't want to name names, but in other cities, you can work into your 50s, no problem.
Yeah.
Here, you get your 20 years, and it's understandable now why so many of these guys, not because they don't love this city, they don't love the community and all that, they just can't keep physically putting the wear and tear on themselves like that. So it speaks, it's not only recruitment and retention, but in the case of the extreme burnout factor that's created as you get to that 18th, 19th, 20th year, the idea of doing 5 more to be able to get your retirement is brutal for some folks. And you have exceptions. I mean, there's some folks here.
Oh, yeah.
One of them works for you. I think he'd die in this job if he was allowed to. You know, I mean,
He's not subject to the cap.
right. Well, exactly. Not everyone wants to
That
go
matters.
when they
I
hit
mean-
their first date of eligibility, but there's an awful lot to do, and this is vital for them. And that's it. I'll get off my soapbox now.
All right, no, I get it.
Take it back, and hopefully we can come up with some stuff.
I'm good, I appreciate it. I don't have any questions about any of the proposals. I do, I'll holler at you. And I didn't introduce my team really. This is Roxanne Kelly. You're not even gonna get a chance to work with her. She took Wayne's spot, and then
And she's leaving already?
And then she's gonna retire. The burnout factor working for me
I guess
is
so, yeah.
horrific, so evidently. But this is Robin Robinson. She's gonna take Roxanne's job. She's coming over to the fire department as my budget analyst. I'm sorry, as my personnel analyst. Ernestine Maddox, 38 years, Captain Williams. So this is our negotiating team this year. This is who's gonna be attending these sessions. So we'll put some numbers together. We'll get something on the calendar, if nothing else, so we've got something planned of when we'll get together. The city will put its, first proposal on the table. We are under a new administration, obviously, so I think there's some favorable discussion from the commission, certainly over the past couple of years, and I don't see that changing, which is what led us to the 3-4-3-4, I mean, clearly, so we'll look at the pension, obviously, anytime you start messing with pension, you have long-term costs, and then if you're talking about 5, you start talking about wages going up significantly on top of these other costs, like, not to get too high on the foster and the pension soapbox, but raises matter. They put assumptions is how they come up with the city's funding requirement, and it's based on assumption. We think the average person's gonna retire at age whatever, the average person's gonna die at age whatever, you know.
I remember this coming up to last go around. I think it was Commissioner Gilliland asked about what our raises were going to do. And the thing to remember with that, it's not just the raise you get or I get, it's the growth of the agency, which right now has not been occurring. So you're saving money there.
It's the overall payroll, you're right.
Right.
So we could give 10% raises, which is what you asked for here, but let's just say we did that. If we still sitting on the 20 vacancies, the
still
payroll
under
may
it,
not
probably.
have gone up, right? So-
Probably won't, yeah, probably
Right,
not.
so,
Yeah.
so it matters, there's no doubt about that. It's all a moving target, it's all a voodoo magic as far as I'm concerned in math, and next thing you know, the guy's like, pay us $10 million, and it's like, how'd you even come up with that, man? So we're on the same page as far as recruit, retain is the theme, right? And so we'll look at trying to put together a proposal that we think, at least from the city's perspective, attains that goal, right? So that'll be our goal. But so let's call it for today. Right away though, let's exchange some emails as far as let's get a date on the calendar. That way I work better under deadlines too, and if I see it's coming up, I know I gotta get it done, or if I don't have a date on the calendar, I keep slipping it to the next thing. So let's keep dates on the calendars and keep the momentum going. Okay. All right.
Okay,
That,
thank
let's
you.
shut it down and I'll
You got
turn
it.
the recorder off.